Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia.
The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Pressbox Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, June the 5th, 2024. Welcome to the Philly Pressbox Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Cavs, Philly Tailgates, and the Edge of Philly Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. And Chet, the Phillies just keep getting it done. They sweep out a really good Milwaukee Brewers team this afternoon. Man, best record in baseball. The Eagles have OTAs this week. Some word has already come out about filling replacement spots. That was interesting already. Our pal Keith Pompey set social media on fire with the possibility of the Sixers extending Joel Embiid for piles of money. And we will talk about the Philly sports fans and their reaction to Reese Hoskins returning to town. And last, hats off to our pal Al Zafiri and the crew on another very successful Delco Day fundraiser that both you and I did attend. We just didn't do it together. As always, there's plenty to talk about in Philly sports.
Yeah, great Delco Day event Saturday, Bill, and just a shame you and I couldn't meet up. We will get into that later as to why. Can't wait to talk Sixers offseason stuff. We know you love talking about Joel Embiid. And, Bill, this Phillies team is looking just very special right now, so they're fun to watch for sure.
They sure are. Hey, we have a great guest tonight that's going to make a return visit to Philly Pressbox Radio from WIP, Infinity Sports Network, whatever it is today. Jody McDonald's going to join us, and we're going to circle the bases with him.
He's here. He's ready to go. Jody is one of my favorite guys to listen to on the radio, and I'm glad he can find some time for us every once in a while. Let's get it going, Bill.
Let's welcome back Jody Mack to Philly Pressbox Radio. Jody, welcome.
Gentlemen, how are you? Thank you very much for inviting me back. Had a great time when I was on with you guys previously, and from what you laid out as to what's going to be in the show today, I'd say much more good than bad. Hey, it's Philadelphia, so there's got to be some bad involved. But I would say much more good than bad these days.
Yeah.
Hey, Jody, it would be very easy to start with some Phillies talk, but we're going to make people wait a bit for that. I mean, they are the best team in baseball right now, record-wise. But I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball and start with the Eagles because they're in the midst of a mandatory mini camp. How confident are you that the defense of the Eagles will be significantly better this year?
Good job by you sticking the word significantly in there because
yes.
Will they be better? Oh, yes, because it would be difficult to be worse than they were last year. So significant is a key aspect of it. I think they have a chance to be significantly better. There's a couple of questions still need to be answered, and they won't be answered until the season starts. It's nice that you get a little bit of a peek. You hear from your favorite Eagle reporters this week and find out what they saw, what they want to read into the tea leaves. We're not going to know until we get into the preseason, get closer to the actual season. But I think Howie Roseman had an outstanding offseason. I think they've upgraded the talent here. I think Vic Fangio will do a significantly, you want to use that word? Oh, they'll be significantly better at the coaching position at defensive coordinator than they were last year. So I would say right now, Eagle fans should be pretty confident about, not uber confident, but pretty confident about improvement in this defense.
Well, Jody, the Eagles that planned for several years to get to this point of Jason Kelsey being gone, Fletcher Cox being gone. They've got replacements, hopefully, in place for them. How do you replace two guys like that?
Not easily, that's for damn sure. And they're really counting on guys already on the roster to fill in for Fletcher Cox because they didn't go out and sign a veteran guy. They're banking on their two big stud Georgia boys in the middle of that lineup being better and playing more snaps than they used to. A guy who I think is going to be a little bit of a key, and he's been talked about, but maybe not as much as the impact he could potentially have. A lot is going to be asked of Milt Williams. He's been a good, solid situational substitution guy, mid-round draft pick last couple of years. With Fletcher coming out of the mix, I think Milt could be a key guy for them in stopping the run and making sure you're not overusing those two Georgia guys. Milt Williams could very well be a really key guy for the Eagles. And we know what the plan is on the offensive line. They're going to move Juergens into center. No one is going to be as good as Jason Kelce. You know there's going to be a drop-off. You just have to expect it. You just don't want it to be drastic. And from Jeff Stoutland talking him up and his teammates talking him up, it seems like Juergens is ready to step in and be above average. He's not going to be all pro like the guy he's replacing, an all-time Eagle great, but I think he's ready to not make us notice the drop-off badly this year. The key for me is going to be at right guard, and that's where Tyler Steen, high draft pick last year, only got a limited amount of chances to play. Jeff Stoutland is talking him up a blue streak so far in the couple weeks of practice they've had. If he can step in and give you what Juergens gave you last year, I've been saying for years, Eagles have one of the best offensive line in football. I believed it every time I said it. If Steen can step in and be as good as Jeff Stoutland is touting him these days, the Eagles should once again have one of the best offensive lines in the National Football League.
Getting back to defense, how about the two DBs that were drafted, Mitchell and DeJean? You like these guys?
Like them both, and that is probably the position on the Philadelphia Eagles that has changed the most drastically. Last year, you had the two veteran guys, and Slay had a good, solid Slay-type year. James Bradbury fell off the face of the cliff. He went from being all-pro to throw it against him all the time because he couldn't cover anybody and keep him out of the end zone. It can be very interesting to see what they do with Bradbury. I know some of my guys like Ruben Frank, Eagle Beat guy, who can't believe that Bradbury's still on a team, that the Eagles haven't cut him yet. He skipped the first couple weeks because they're not mandatory. He showed up for day one of the obligatory, and he ended up getting hurt. Now, I'm not going to say I don't know if he was hurt, but we've seen guys hold in, showing up. But, yeah, I'm not quite up to practicing. Grab a hammy, do what you got to do to get the message across. And I like Bradbury. I loved when the Eagles signed him. I called for the Eagles to sign Bradbury when he was still on the Giants because the rumors were just flying that the Giants were going to drop him. I said it'll be a perfect fit here. Eagles should absolutely go after him hard. They did. He was very good. He fell off badly last year. I don't know what he's got left in time. I just like to see him play in Fangio's system before I write him off. If they could trade him, they would trade him. I don't know that there's any team out there that's going to trade for him because then you're obligated under his contract, which is pretty hefty after the Eagles gave him the raise last year. So I think it's going to come down to he's either going to be here or he's going to be cut. I don't think there's a trade in the offing. And if he's cut, although I would not be shocked if he landed somewhere else and played well, I can't worry about it because the Eagles have so addressed that cornerback position. The two draft picks you talked about, Isaiah Rodgers, who they signed last year, to wait out the full year of the gambling suspension. They got a lot of depth right now at the cornerback position. I'm not worried about that at all.
Well, we're going to flip you back to the offensive side. I think we could say, you kind of hate to use this word, but the offensive talent-wise is loaded, which brings us to Jalen Hurts. How much is a Kellen Moore going to come in, change things around? The thing that frustrated me last year, Jody, is it seemed like for the last 6 weeks of the season, they were out there running the exact same game plan week after week, and Jalen Hurts or no one else could be successful in what they were doing. Is Kellen Moore going to be the guy that steps Jalen Hurts back to the top?
The offense will be different. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. Moore runs a different offense, and he came in, I'm sure he sat down with all the other offensive coaches. They went through the entire season of game film and tried to figure out what went wrong, what did they do poorly, what did they have to do better. And they're talking a lot about communication. They want to make this a very easy offense for Jalen to run, kind of a push-button offense. I thought they asked Jalen to do a little bit too much last year. I thought there were too many potential checkdowns with all the RPOs that they ran. That's Jalen making a split-second decision. Do I hand off? Do I keep it? Do I keep it run? Do I keep it and throw? I think they put too much on his plate. I didn't think that Brian Johnson did a very good job at calling plays, and when he did, I think he may have asked Jalen to do too much. I think they will simplify the offense this year. They're going to work hard to have lots of different options, but I don't think they're going to put as much on Jalen's plate as far as RPOs go. I don't think the RPOs are going to be near as big a part of their offense as it has been the last couple of years. When properly run, an RPO can be a great play because you're keeping the defense off balance. They don't know what's coming. But if you can't run it properly, then it's just a bad play. And Eagles didn't run properly enough. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be aided by Kellen Moore. It will make him a better quarterback. The big question, and I've run it on my show many a time, sure, you guys have talked about it. You got the 2022 Jalen Hurts. You got the 2023 Jalen Hurts. Now we have the 2024 Jalen Hurts. Which one is he going to more resemble? My answer is he's going to fall somewhere in the middle. Do I think he'll be the runner-up for the MVP? Possibly, but I think that's optimistic. Do I think he'll be as bad as he was last year? No. So he's going to fall in the middle somewhere. Which is he going to fall closer to? I'll go optimistic 2022 over 2023, and I think Kellen Moore will have a lot to do with that.
We could talk Eagles for another 2 hours, but we got to get to the Phillies. As I put the standings up, the game just ended a little while ago. Phillies are 44-19, best record in Major League Baseball, an 8-game lead over the Braves. Who would have thunk that? Jody, how good is this team, and especially the pitching? Can you believe what we're seeing out of the starting pitching, even the bullpen now?
Yeah, I'd love to be able to say, I saw this coming. Yeah, nobody saw this coming. Come on. I don't think the Phillies themselves, in their most optimistic of minutes, thought that this was coming. Ranger Suarez has been off the charts great. I've been a Nola guy forever. I've gotten into many an argument as to whether Aaron Nola is an ace. I said this season, the previous season, the season before that, Phillies are lucky in that they have two aces. They have Wheeler and they have Nola. Some teams have none. Phillies are lucky enough to have two. And this year, they've got a guy who's pitching like an ace. So Ranger, for at least the first half, can call himself an ace. We'll see if he can do it over the entire season. You got three aces. Something like, I don't know, maybe putting up the best record in baseball is going to happen. And that's exactly what's happened here in Philadelphia. They are actually number one in Major League Baseball in runs scored coming into today's action, and their two spot won't raise it up all that much, but the W is very nice. They are number two overall in ERA. The Yankees team pitching staff actually has a better ERA. So they're doing that on both sides. When they need the hits, they get the hits. They've been, except for extra innings, a very clutch team this year, and the pitching has just been off the charts great. I got to pay a little bit better attention to the Yankees. That how the hell I'm watching the Phillies night in, night out. Who could actually be better pitching than the Phillies? Well, the Yankees are slightly.
And Garrett Cole's not even pitching yet. He's coming back in a week or two, probably.
Yeah, he's going to be re-added to that team. Yes, the Yankees and the Phillies are running away and hiding from their respective divisions and borderline leagues. So I'd buy into a 2009 World Series repeat. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's interesting that that the hitting hasn't really started yet. We talked a little bit about this earlier. The bomb approach that they had last year, where they just hit home runs after home runs. Home runs actually down a little bit, but runs are up, wins are up. That's a good thing, I think. Agreed.
And at some point, Kyle Schwarber is going to start hitting more home runs. June is supposed to be his month. Hasn't hit one yet in June. Come on, Kyle. We're 5 days in. What the heck's the holdup? He's going to hit his home runs. You know that. Harper's going to hit his. Bohm is not a home run hitter. All he is a hitter and drives in runs left, right, center. a little bit of a funk this week, but hit the huge home run, as a matter of fact, last night to tie the game, and they can get an extra inning win and one of their few extra inning wins this year. Balance. Balance has been a key. They have better balance in their lineup this year, mostly because of Bohm. I'll give them the great majority of that credit. But the shortstop, whoever that may be, Turner or Sosa, both been phenomenal as well. So that's how you get balance throughout your lineup, and that's how they're the top scoring team in baseball.
You mentioned the shortstop position. When Trey Turner gets back, we assume that's going to be, within the next week or two. What happens with Edmundo Sosa and his playing time?
My guess, I could probably say my hope, they're paying Turner $330 million. And, oh, by the way, he was hitting $345 when he went out.
Yeah.
So you're not about to make him a part-time player. He's going to be their shortstop. I just hope Sosa gets the at-bats that Whit Merrifield has been getting. Now, I said on the air when they signed him this spring, nice signing, solid guy, will fit in with this clubhouse, good dude. Didn't know if he'd be able to make the transition, but thought it'd be all right to becoming a part-time player. He has not handled it well. He just may be incapable of being a part-time player after being a regular player for a decade. He just hasn't been able to make that transition. And even though they paid him good money, not outrageous, but good money to come here, if they can't move him, then they're just going to have to move away from him. And I hope Sosa's getting those at-bats that he gets, because I want Edmundo Sosa swinging the bat for me, not Whit Merrifield. If they can, I'm sure they will attempt to move him, but I'm not sure. They're going to have to eat a good portion of the contract. If it becomes an issue with guys who have earned playing time and not getting any, and I'm not saying Sosa should become a full-time player, but the same role that Merrifield's playing, that should be Sosa's when Turner returns.
Yeah. How about that bullpen? Strom, Hoffman, Alvarado, they're lights out every night, and pitching in different spots in the rotation. Rob Thompson has moved the ball around. You never know which one's going to close which night, but and Soto has pitched really well. What do you think of what's going on out there? Pretty amazing so far.
One guy you didn't touch on, which has actually been good news here over the last week, has been Sir Anthony. Sir Anthony has probably struggled more than anybody out of the bullpen. The four guys you're at, 3 of the 4, Strom, Alvarado, Hoffman, Kirkring have been lights out good. Sir Anthony has struggled, and he's really picked it up over the last 7 to 10 days, somewhere thereabouts. If you turn back the clock to mid last month, people were calling for Sir Anthony to get some time in AAA. Hey, he can't be working his stuff out here in the big leagues. Create an injury, get him down to the Iron Pigs, let him pitch down there for 2 weeks. And I don't know that he heard it or he was made known of it, but he really has picked it up. I think he's only given up 1 run in his last 8 outings, if I'm not mistaken. That's what it was as per last night, which just makes him another arm deep in that bullpen. Guys, I've been saying this for the better part of a couple of weeks on WIP. Everybody wants to play amateur general manager. You do, I do. It's kind of in my genes. I was raised that way, being always questioning how you can make a team better. But I also know the phrase, sometimes the best trade that you make is the one that you don't make. And right now, I don't think the Phillies need to do a damn thing. Everybody, we could upgrade the outfield. Our outfield's not all that good. You can always use another arm in the bullpen. If there's an injury, a starting pitcher, nothing. The Phillies just need to get healthy. And luckily, the injuries I got this week with Marsh going down, added to the Turner injury. Ranger looks like he's going to be good to go on Saturday. That was scary when he took the shot off the hand the other night. But it looks like he's just going to get pushed back a couple days, not going to miss a start at all. Just stay the course. Keep doing what you're doing and avoid injuries. Now, if there is a massive injury, then I got faith Dombrowski will be aggressive and he'll go out and he'll try and fill the void. But to do something for something's sake, because, you need to prove that you're all in. No, the Phillies proved that they're all in by their record every single day. Look it up, best in baseball. They don't need to do one thing with this roster right now.
One criticism some people have had has been the offensive output from the outfield. But, Johan Rojas, while not hitting a lot, has gotten some key hits. And the game-winning RBI last night and the game-winning two-run homer today came from this guy, Nick Castellanos, who maybe is finally getting things going. You like Castellanos? Is he going to, have a good second half of the year, you think?
I like him well enough. One of the few things I've second-guessed Rob Thompson on all year. And Rob not listening to me. I don't think he's listening to anybody. He's got his plan and he's sticking to it. He plays Castellanos every day.
Every day.
Not almost every day. Every day.
Yep.
And a day when he's been in these funks, he goes into funks and he goes 2 for 22 and you watch his batting average plummet below 200. Now he's in a little bit of a hot streak, so he's got it back up over 200. He hit a couple homers. So now, I can't complain. Okay, put him out there every single day, Rob. But when he was struggling, he just refused to ever give him a day off. That their mindset is, and when I say they, I mean Rob, and I'm sure Castellanos is telling him, my best solution is to play. I'll get my swing. It'll come around. The more that I play, the better it'll come around. And Rob bought into it. So I have not agreed with the way that Castellanos has been used every day this year, but I do like the way he's swinging the bat. And your point about the outfield struggling. Okay, struggling is compared to who?
Right.
I did this last
our
night.
Expectations, right?
Right, exactly. I did this last night with Paul Casella, covers Phillies, MLB.com last night. I threw him a pop quiz. I'm an OPS guy. The newfangled statistics analytics they have are so difficult to understand.
Yes.
Everybody understands the meat and potatoes, home runs, RBIs, batting average. OPS is a good middle ground. It's not the new analytics, but it's not the old school simplistic analytics. So I lean on that as my most telltale thing to judge a player's offensive performance by. So I asked Paul last night, give me the OPS number that you would consider a player having to have to be an above average starting player at his position. What should his OPS be? And Paul thought for a second and said, above average? Yeah, above average. He said probably about 800. If you've got an 800 OPS, that would be, star players are high 800s, 900s, MVPs are high 900s, 1,000. An above average major league player, OPS 800. Do you know how many outfielders in the National League right now have an OPS of over 800?
Nope.
One. Jerkson Profar of the San Diego Padres. He's it. That's it. And I'm talking about guys who qualify, play enough to win the batting title, 3.1 plate appearances per games played. There's one outfielder in the National League. So everybody wants to compare the Phillies outfielders to all-star outfielders. Who are the all-star outfielders in the National League this year? Shoot, Castellanos was one last year, and if he stays hot for the next 10 days, he may get into consideration by the time the vote comes down. The Phillies outfield is fine. If Marsh is healthy, he's fine. Castellanos is a sink or swim, peak and valley type guy. And yes, even my guy in center field, who I critiqued a little bit because he wasn't playing all that well defensively. He's supposed to be Gary Maddox part 2, and he hasn't been.
Right.
He's made a couple of great plays this week. So I will live and die with the Philly outfield right now. Rojas is coming along. Marsh is fine. If they try Sosa out there a little bit, he doesn't kill him in left field, that might not be the worst thing in the world. The outfielder I want to acquire from the Philadelphia Phillies is already on the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't think they need to do anything there.
All right.
Well, I'm going to go with Castellanos. Once school gets out and his family gets up here, he's going to kick it in like he seems to do. One final question I have for you with the Phillies, the Taijuan Walker Turnbull decision. Not one that I was too much in favor of, and still not really in favor of.
Yeah, $18 million and $18 million. That's how much they owe Taijuan Walker the next 2 years. Yeah. I'll give Rob Thompson credit this week because he was asked about it. He's asked about it every 2 or 3 days. And he did say it will be a performance-based decision. It will not solely be decided by one guy making $18 million and the other guy making $2 million. if Taiwan doesn't start to pick it up a little bit, because he's been the worst thing for Taiwan Walker is the fact that he's in a rotation with 4 aces right now. So he sticks out like a sore thumb. Right. He has not been awful. He just hasn't been good. He better get the good at some point because Spencer Turnbull sure has been good. And yes, I think it's the obligation of the manager to put together the best rotation that he can. And at some point, they will put Turnbull back in the rotation. If it'll be decided by Walker, it won't be decided by Turnbull. It'll be decided by Walker and how long it takes him to get to the level of being a good starting pitcher.
Jody, I got to ask you one more thing before we let you go. I don't know if you took part in this, but a couple of weeks ago, the WIP afternoon guys and a bunch of other hosts made lists of who they thought were the very best 11 athletes or active players in Philadelphia. I don't know. Did you get in on that? And in any case,
did.
Who would your top 3 or 4 be?
The list you put up, is that what the final voting was?
That was the final from WIP's hosts and listeners combined, 50% each.
That's pretty close to what I had. I am 90% sure I had. I'm trying to remember what I did. Harper 1, Embiid 2, AJ Brown 3, which I think he was right there. I think I had Maxey 4. I had Maxey ahead of Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts had the down year last year. So I thought that took him down a peg or 2 for me.
All right, Jody, yell at Bill Furman for me because look where he has Embiid. Look at what he did to Joel Embiid.
That's all right. Embiid, Harper, Embiid. Oh, and good for you guys. Did our list have Lane Johnson higher up than this one? You guys had him 2. The other one had him 3.
Yeah,
I had him I had him 5 or 6 on my list too.
But
good
number 10, Joel Embiid. Bill had Embiid number 10. Come on,
Hey,
man.
Jody, what you have to understand here, this is an ongoing debate where Chet's a fanboy of,
Embiid.
He's got a little love with Embiid going on.
And you're a hater. Okay, I got the hater. I got it.
I'm a reality guy. Show up in the playoffs, and then we'll talk about it.
I'm not sure you can reality say he's the 10th best player in Philadelphia. That seems a little haterish to me. I'm not sure about his fanboy, but I'm pretty sure about your haterish, Bill.
Good job, Jody.
Oh, that's the only reason he brought it up. He's trying to get somebody on his side, Jody.
I'm an Embiid guy, and those who think, we need to move on, Joel, they can't move on. They're married to Joel Embiid, and we'll see if there's anything to the contract extension. It's all a matter of timing. It's going to happen, so it all comes down to
you don't have to do it this year, though. He's under contract for 2 more years, so.
It's when you think it is best, and they're going to, not only is he not going to be traded, I believe at some point they will extend him. I don't think it's going to be now, but let's see if Bill's right. If Joel goes out and averages 18 a game next year, Bill be pumping I told you stinks. And then they'll be glad that they didn't do that.
Just get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'll be happy.
Would be nice.
If they make the right move. The other thing WIP's been hyping last week is which player who's going to be available out there as a free agent would be the best to come in and raise the 76ers. I think I'm on an island here. I know that no one else has been as outspoken as I have. I'm an OG Anunoby guy. I want somebody who can play some defense.
Yeah.
Paul George, probably a better scorer. LeBron would be a better story. That's for damn sure.
Oh, I don't want LeBron.
Jimmy Butler would bring more drama. Pascal Siakam's a better scorer. But the ability to score and play defense and score from the wing and shoot it, Pascal Siakam's not as good a shooter as OG Anunoby is. I know OG gets hurt, but then again, so does Joel Embiid. So there are very few players that play 75-plus games in the NBA anymore. I would roll the dice. The coach loves him. He'd be a perfect fit with Maxey and Embiid. That's the guy the Sixers should make their number 1 priority. OG Anunoby. Take it from an OG. They need an OG with the 76ers.
There you go. All right. Well, hey, Jody, before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you on your hours, your different shows you're doing, and what else you got going
on. Usual Monday and Tuesday nights on WIP this week. It just happens to be Tuesday, Wednesday. Most Sundays with Glenn Mack now. We only got about 4 or 5 shows left. Glenn's stepping down in July. So I'm very much looking forward to doing the last couple shows with Glenn, hoping to keep my Sunday shift there, even when Glenn goes. And I'm on the Infinity Sports Network every weekend, Saturdays 10 to 2 Eastern time, and Sunday 6 to 10 p.m. So you can find me working hard on the weekends. I am a weekend warrior.
And by the way, I loved seeing you co-host What's Brewing a couple of times with
Yeah.
Glenn. And you were out at Ship Bottom. I love Ship Bottom beers, man. They got some good ones.
I got a couple right here in the basement. If I didn't have to work tonight at 11, I may have one and toast my guy Glenn Mack now.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jody.
Jody, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time. Let's do it again.
Anytime you guys need me, all you got to do is ask. Love jumping on.
You got it.
All right.
Thanks, Jody.
Thanks. Appreciate it. All right, Chet, let's give a shout out to all the shows at the Edge of Philly Sports Network this week. The gang has all the bases covered. You can catch all the action on www.eopsports.com, as well as Edge of Philly Sports on YouTube. You can also find our show on the Philly Pressbox Radio YouTube channel. Help us out. Hit those subscribe, follow, like buttons, and as always, share with your family and friends. Don't forget, subscribe to the Edge of Philly Sports Weekly newsletter. Sign up for free, and you'll receive the EOP Weekly Review in your email every Friday morning. Chet, what is going on at the Irish Rover Station House this week?
Well, Bill, the Irish Rover Station House in lovely Langhorne, Pennsylvania, has Quizzo and prime rib dinners every Wednesday evening. Thursday through Sunday, they have dinner specials, and chicken portobello salad and Cajun shrimp and chicken pasta are among the specials this week. Killer burgers on Thursday too. I don't have them listed this week, but killer burgers, I think pretty much every Thursday. Coming up a week from Sunday, one of the big annual events at the Rover, the Father's Day Car Show. That is June 16th, Father's Day, of course. Always a great event. I've been there 3 times in the past. It is a lot of fun. And if you like checking out classic cars, that is the place to be on Father's Day. Always 24 beers on tap, too, inside the Rover. The Irish Rover Station House is on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. Check the website, IrishRoverStationHouse.com. And, Bill, I think you know this, that we have a little bit more to say about the Rover, and we will get to that right after we hear from Merrill.
Hi, football fans. This is Merrill Reese, and you're listening to Bill and Chet on Philly Pressbox Radio. It's good!
Yes, it is, Burl. And as you mentioned, Chet, the Irish Rover, we're 1 week closer to our special 500 show live from the Rover. I'll tell you what, I'm getting excited.
Yeah, we are getting excited for this show for sure. We are normally on Wednesday evenings like we are right now if you're watching us live, but as with a few other special occasions, we're going to do show number 500 out with the people on a Sunday afternoon at the Irish Rover. You may remember we did show number 400 there 2 years ago. Look how good we look there. My goodness. 2 years ago, July of 2022, Big Al and Joey Sheeran from Edge of Philly joining us. But as special as that one was, well, number 500 is even more special. So we're going to have some great guests joining us on the afternoon of June 23rd at the Rover. As most Philly sports fans know, we recently marked the 50th anniversary of the Flyers' first Stanley Cup. And so with that in mind, we're going to have some guys who were big parts of the organization over the years with the Flyers. Longtime PA man Lou Nolan will be in the house. Lou put out a great book a few years ago, If These Walls Could Talk, Philadelphia Flyers. He's been on our show, I think, 8 times. Also joining us, Joe Watson, the legendary Flyers defenseman and a member of the Flyers' 2 Stanley Cup winning teams. Joe, just a few months back, put out a terrific book, Thundermouth, Memoir of a Broad Street Bully and NHL Lifer. We just got our copies the other day. Joe is 80 years old, but just a fantastic guy and lots of fun to be around. He has lots of great stories, and we'll hopefully tell a few of them when we see him on June 23rd. One more, Jim Jackson, the Flyers broadcaster. Like Lou Nolan and Joe Watson, JJ, a super guy, very personable. So you'll get a chance to meet him as well. And, do I have the brand new graphic? I got to find that because Big Al did a real nice graphic for us, and I'm going to find it for you right now because it's
While you're looking, I heard a rumor.
What's that?
Whether it be a true rumor or not, maybe you could tell. I heard Boop might be in the house.
Boop is going to be joining us. We certainly hope so. You invited him. I'm all for it. And we're going to firm that up and get Boop to join us for a little bit as well. But check out this graphic that Big Al made for us.
Wow.
Joe Watson, Jim Jackson, Lou Nolan. Show number 500 at the Irish Rover Station House. Our fourth time doing a show there. It's Sunday, June 23rd, 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon. So, We're still finalizing the format, but basically you're going to have some time to go say hello to Joe Watson and Lou Nolan. Then they're going to come on the show with us. Jim Jackson is going to come on the show with us a bit. Boop is going to be with us for a while. We will probably go live at exactly 2 p.m., but be sure you're there 1 o'clock or so.
Come for lunch.
Lunch, beers. It's not an autograph event, but if you have one item, they will, I'm sure, sign it for you. But it's not an autograph event. It's a book signing event for Joe, maybe for Lou if Lou still has some books, and a chance to just say hello to these guys, take a picture with them, and enjoy some great sports talk with us and all these other guys.
That's it. Looking forward to it. I think
fun.
it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think we talked about maybe going for an hour and a half on the show. We'll go till we're done. How's that sound?
Yeah. I'm going to go visit Chris Gaskill from the Irish Rover tomorrow to kind of firm everything up. She wants to know exactly, what we need to make this a great event. So we're going to talk all this out and figure it out and be ready to go June 23rd, a Sunday afternoon, 1:30 at the Irish Rover.
Can't wait. All right, let's move on. Talk a little more Eagles. As we said, the OTAs are underway. The headmaster of Stoutland U has already named second-year man Tyler Steen as the starting right guard, moving Cam Jurgens to center to replace Jason Kelsey. How you feel about naming somebody before we even get started?
I think it's kind of weird. I mean, it's not a huge surprise that it is the case as far as, who these guys are that he named, but it's a surprise, I think, that Stoutland has done it already. The Birds O-line has been a real strength for several years, and hopefully that will continue. Tyler Steen, I have no idea how good he is or how good he might be, but hey, if Jeff Stoutland has faith in him, who am I to question that, Bill?
Well, Stout gave an interview and just said that the work that Steen has put in, he's so much better than he was mentally, knowing the game, understanding the game, physically. He's worked his tail off. He's ready to go, and that'll be interesting to see. Hey, I wanted to throw this up now that we're back to football. Here's a comment from Dylan DeCampley I thought was interesting. Jalen Hurts is good at a lot of things, but he's too short to see over the huge O lineman and hit the middle of the field without escaping the pocket. What do you think about that? There's some truth to that now.
He hit a lot of passes in 2022. He did all right. Runner up for MVP, got to the Super Bowl. So I'm not worried about that at all.
You don't think so, huh?
No, I don't.
All right. Hey, any more hot Eagles takes that have come out of camp? The Steen one was the biggest one I saw in the Bradbury moving position. I thought was kind of interesting.
I think that's just because they have such a log jam at cornerback with, so many additions, the young guys, some other veterans that they brought in, Isaiah Rodgers looking really good. So I think it's just they can't get enough guys reps, so they moved Bradbury to safety. I still think he's on his way out. I don't think we're going to see Bradbury week 1 in September. I'll tell you what I do think is going to be interesting, though. That will be who are the 3rd and 4th receivers this coming season.
Yeah, they brought a pile of them in.
Quez Watkins is gone. Olamide Zaccheaus, did I get his name right? I can never remember. Right. Olamide Zaccheaus. He's gone. And now you have guys like Paris Campbell, Britton Covey, speedster John Ross, and the rookies Aniyah Smith and Johnny Wilson, all vying for roster spots and for playing time. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on during the camps and the preseason games.
And that's important, to get 17, 20, 21 games by the time you get through the playoffs out of AJ and Devontae is not going to be easy to keep everybody healthy. They've got to have some depth there, and they've added a lot of players, most of them young, but we'll see. I think it's going to be fun to watch how that plays out. And of course, it's only June, so you can't get too excited right yet. But I can't wait to see Saquon Barkley with a football in his hand.
Yeah, that is going to be fun. And apparently he's fitting in really well. He's organizing some, group bonding activities and stuff, I heard. I think Dallas Goedert said that. So, we know he's a stand-up guy. We also know that when healthy, he's a pretty darn good football player. So I can't wait to see him in action this fall.
And I just saw a thing today, an advertisement where he's putting on a youth camp up there somewhere too. So he's jumping right in and getting things going. I think at the end of the day, it's all going to come back to Jalen and how well he can play. And of course, they got a block for him always. So, but I think they're going to be fun to watch. It's way too early to get too excited about that, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I don't get too excited about the reports coming out of the OTAs or the mandatory mini camps or even preseason. You got to take with a grain of salt. But I will keep an eye on things that's preseason for sure. I guess they have 3 games, right, in preseason in August. So, that's going to be make or break for a lot of these borderline guys. So we'll follow that. Yeah,
absolutely. Hey, Chad, I wanted to give a shout out to Al Safiri and Chris Holbrook on another very successful Delco Day fundraiser last Saturday. It was a great event at JT Brewski's in Seacane, PA. Al and Chris are the founders, creators, whatever of this event. It's now reached 9 years and growing. They've raised a lot of funds. I think they set records with their attendance this year, breaking last year's. Every year it's bigger and better. And you and I both got to attend, but with my travel debacle, we didn't see each other.
As I said last week when you first set out, I never want to travel with you by plane because at least 50% of the time you seem to have issues. Tell everybody what happened when you woke up Saturday morning.
Well, I woke up at 3:30 in the morning. I had a 5:55 a.m. flight. Got showered, dressed, picked up my phone, which is my alarm, sits next to me, picked it up. And normally if I was going to work, I'd just stick it in my pocket. I wouldn't look at it until I was at work. I looked at it right on the screen, says your flight has been canceled. And I'm like, uh-oh. My Mary was up to drive me, it's already
not delayed, canceled.
So now we're down there sitting in the chairs in the family room, both looking for flights. Orlando, Tampa, we can fly out of pretty much anywhere from where we live, either side. Sarasota, Daytona, anywhere we could find that had flights, and ended up finally finding one that went to Baltimore. So I flew to Baltimore, rented a car, drove up, and I got there at 6-ish o'clock where you had to have been long gone by then. But
yeah,
it was still a great event.
I was at the Delco Day event 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Then I had to leave to get back to my home in Jersey because I had a big date with my wife. We went to see this great Chicago-ish tribute band called Leonid and Friends from Russia. They were terrific, by the way. But you did get there, as you said. You had a great time. I saw guys like Ryan Reese, Sal Giuffrida, Freddie Burns, of course, Big Al and his wife. So it was good. And the Scrapple man, too, John Curtis from the Habersack Scrapple. Right. The only disappointment, he didn't have any samples.
No. But how about the one place that was selling Scrapple tacos, Jed? I wanted to try them. I thought, man, I just probably can't.
I saw that and then I forgot about it. That would have been cool.
Scrapple tacos. First time I've ever heard of that.
But there was a little stand from Aldous, I think it is Aldous Brewing in Hanover, Pennsylvania. They had some terrific beers, and they had, I've talked about a beer before called a pretzel wheat beer. A couple of different places made that over the past years. O'Fallon Brewery and Shock Top made one, but they both discontinued it. I think O'Fallon is even out of business. But this Aldous Brewing from Hanover had a pretzel wheat beer. So not only did they give me a couple samples, they gave me an entire can of beer because we hit it off. So
there you go.
Pretzel wheat beer from Aldous in Hanover, PA. Bill, you did have a good weekend, though. And then Monday, you got to redo this picture. Who are those guys?
So that's
who's that young guy in the middle?
Yeah, that's 1979, the fall of 1979. That's me in the middle. Harry Feinberg on the left, Tom Goki on the right. We were the 3 co-captains of our football team there at Williamson Trade School. And for the first time in 44 years, the 3 of us got back together, and we wore the same jerseys. Those are the same jerseys we wore in the mud.
Are they really the same jerseys?
Yeah, absolutely. They gave us those at the end of our senior year, and we all three still had them. So I don't know where the shoulder pads went, Chet.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. When you said that on Facebook, I thought you were just kidding. I thought you had them remade, but they are the actual jerseys that got all muddy 45 years ago. Wow,
absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yep. And so Williamson held their 50th annual golf outing Monday, and it's an alumni outing, and it was fantastic. And got to see those guys, and we had a great time, and we're already lining up to do it again next time.
Oh, cool. Yeah. You should do that more than every 40 years because,
Yeah, the next 40 might be a little late.
It could be tough.
Yeah. Well, hey, while we're talking about great events, great times, tell us what's going on with the best tailgaters in Philadelphia, Bob Cavanaugh and the gang at Cavs Philly Tailgates.
Ah, yes, Cavs Philly Tailgates. You know them. They've been cooking up terrific catering business for more than 30 years. You know them for their tailgate parties. Cavs is a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgates, Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest, and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. Cavs does corporate events and parties. They're busy right now doing a lot of graduation parties. I'm sure they'll be doing some wedding events too, wedding-type picnics. There's also a tailgate party, though, before the June 22nd Phil's Diamondbacks game, 1 to 4 p.m., on June 22nd. Check the website, phillytailgates.com, for pricing and more information. And if you have any questions, just email them, cavscatering@verizon.net. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go. And you know this, that Cav works with Vince at Philly Sports Trips. They have a lot going on as well. Numerous Phillies trips this spring and summer. They're going to Boston and Baltimore, and I don't have the logo to put up, but Chicago, of course, they'll be in London this weekend. They'll get you to Brazil for the Eagles season opener, a Penn State game out in Southern California. So, oh man, they're already making plans for next spring to go down to Clearwater for the Phillies too. That is phillysportstrips.com.
I heard a lot this weekend about people wanting to come to Tampa for that Eagles game in September. And I was throwing the Philly Sports Trip name around to a bunch of them to reach out to those guys. As usual, the Philly fans travel great. And I'm sure Tampa is always a great destination. They come down, stay at the beach. Yeah. There's a Philly sports club here, Philly of the South, it's called. It's huge in the Eagles. Mike Klein does a great job with that. And they're all hooked up together. It is a fun time to come down and be part of that.
I only wish they had the Tampa game later in the season because, you know, it's cold up here in November, December.
I'm telling you what, September in Tampa Stadium is like laying in a frying pan. It is really hot. It's really
exactly hot. So if it was November, December, you know, then it'd be nice to go down there to get away from the cold up here. But oh well, we don't make the schedule. Hey, speaking of the schedule, I mentioned that the Philly Sports Trips guys will be in London this weekend. Those Phillies games, by the way, against the Mets, Saturday at 1:10 p.m. Eastern time. I believe that one is on Fox, and then Sunday the game is 10:10 a.m. and that is on ESPN on Sunday because it's 5 hours later in London. So that's why.
And the Phillies are home one game and away the other game.
Yeah. They're one game series. Yes. The Phillies and Mets home, but they're both in London. So,
right. And, you know, I hope this doesn't cool anything off. They're now off Thursday, Friday. They play Saturday, Sunday. They're off Monday. And then they're in Boston on Tuesday. So, you know, that's a lot of time off for creatures of habit like baseball players.
Yeah, it really is. And it kind of messes up the pitching schedule, too. Like Zach Wheeler said he wasn't sure how he was going to handle things because he's not slated to pitch Saturday or Sunday. So he said he was going to have, you know, maybe one or maybe two bullpen sessions in between, you know, when he pitched the other day and then next Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yep. Hey, we had great guests tonight at Jody McDonald. Who's coming to Philly Pressbox Radio next week?
That's a great question, Bill, and I think I do have the answer. I do. Yeah, we're going to get our annual visit next week from a guy who is still very well known to Philly area sports fans from his work on radio, briefly, more so his television work over the years. He spent several years. That was then Comcast Sportsnet. His name is Neil Hartman. He now runs the communications department at Rowan University and is a camp director at Play by Play Sports Camps. I understand the Philly one is already sold out for this summer, but they're doing them all over the country. Neil Hartman joining us as he does every June, and it's always good to see Neil.
Oh, absolutely. And Neil's great. He's always right on top of things. Great. Always a great guest. Hey, yep. Chet, we won't go all into the Sixers discussion anymore since we touched on that a little bit, but nearly $200 million for 3 more years. Holy cow. Even if it's not this year, if it's next year or whenever it is.
Yeah.
$200 million. It's not my money, but daggum, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's just the nature of these max contracts now, where you're paying these players anywhere from $50 to $60 million a year, or maybe more in this case, as you just said. So I wouldn't do it for Embiid this year since he's got 2 years left on the contract. We know he's injury prone. We know they haven't gotten past the second round. So why do it now? There's no urgency. See how he holds up this coming year. See how the team does next spring. So I don't understand why you would do this right now, just as I didn't understand why Bryce Harper would be, considering an extension when he's got 8 years left on his contract. It's crazy. It's the way things are in sports, Bill, but I don't get it.
No, I don't get it either. And I think the other thing with Embiid, well, let's just talk about with the Sixers. They've got to reevaluate their whole, how they're going about business here, I think. They can't build this thing around Embiid. One, he's just not dependable, and you can't have a guy who your whole offense is built around, and then he's not there. They've got to figure out a way to blend him in. Maybe he doesn't average 30 points a game. Maybe he averages 22 points a game. But you got other guys around him that contribute, and if he were to go down, you got a way to replace him or replace the points. I think everything is built around him, and when he went down, it was it. It was done. It was ugly too.
And it sounds like Daryl Morey does want another one of the, third star situations. So whether it be Paul George or LeBron, I hope not. Jimmy Butler, a return. I don't think that's the way to go. They're all old, and I'd rather just go young and get a bunch of guys who can contribute, kind of like what you were alluding to, or what Jody said, with the guy from New York. So it's going to be a very interesting offseason, and it's kind of sad because I love the Sixers, that, but they're kind of, I think, falling down in favor with a lot of Philadelphia sports fans. I mean, the Phillies and Eagles are at the top for sure right now, and the Flyers are moving on up, especially if Mishkov comes over from Russia, which is, I don't think it's going to happen this year, like there were rumors to that effect. But the Flyers are up and coming. The Sixers are going down in a lot of people's minds, I think.
Yeah, well, and if the Flyers would have snuck into the playoffs like we thought they were going to until a couple weeks left in the season, you're absolutely right. They'd have moved right on past the Sixers, and and the Sixers brought it all on themselves. They've got to clean the house up and figure it out and get back on track. And right now they don't have the resources to do that. They got a lot of work to do.
Hey, while we're talking basketball, did you see this the other day? Larry Cannon died. Remember Larry Cannon? I'm sure you do, because we're about the same age. Yep. And we were both Philly college hoops fans back in the late 60s and early 70s. And Larry Cannon played on that great LaSalle team that was number 2 in the country, but didn't get to compete for the NCAA title because of, they were suspended from that. But Larry Cannon was the star of that team, along with Stan Ladarchik from my hometown of Mahoney City, Pennsylvania. And who else do they have? Bernie Williams and Ed Chesney. And, of course, Fran Dunphy, who's now coaching LaSalle after all these years.
Roland Taylor, Ken Durrett.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they were great.
Boy, what a team.
Yep. And,
so Larry Cannon,
my pal Joe Repchinski was on that team too. Remember?
I remember that name.
Yeah. Joe wrote a great book. We're going to have Joe on one day. He's been a lifer of a coach, and he's written a couple really good basketball books about the city as well.
Cool.
Hey, Chet, I can't let this get by before we run out of time. Let's talk about the Philly fans and their reception of Reese Hoskins.
Don't tell me you had a problem with it.
Overdone. I mean, how soft are the Philly fans getting?
You're crazy. The guy was here for 7 years. They were awful when he joined the team. But the first couple of months, of course, hit like 17 homers in 50 games or whatever. He was terrific. He stuck through the bad times. He was inconsistent for sure, but man, that playoff run, the postseason in October of 2022, the bat slam, he was a great teammate. Did great charity work. He and his wife in the city, they were just showing some love for a guy who was very faithful to the city of Philadelphia for 7 seasons. And even last year when he couldn't play, he was there, cheering them on. So I had no problem whatsoever with it.
Well, I didn't think you would, because that's the fanboy in you. I'm all good with the one cheer, blah blah blah. Chet, the guy hit 242 in his 6 years here. He had 148 home runs. He was terrible in the field. In the playoffs,
but he's a good guy. He's a
great guy. He's a great guy. The world's full of great guys.
Nobody's saying he was, Chase Utley or Ryan Howard.
They treated him like he was Mike Schmidt.
Oh my!
By the way, I just thought I'd share this with you too, Chet.
Yeah.
He hit 159 in the playoffs in 2022 with 0 home runs. So, and he couldn't play defense either. So,
and guess what? Bryce Harper had no hits in games 6 and 7 against Arizona last year when it mattered the most. Things happen.
Oh, well, let's give him a standing ovation. Let's give it to him. Let's give it to him 3 days in a row. What the heck?
I'm not putting Dennis Malloy's post up, so I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it.
Well, for some reason, I also have the same controls as you do. And
I know you do. I knew you would.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I said the same thing when they did the Scott Hartnell. They did the same thing for him when he came back that time, and I think they even had a Scott Hartnell night at some point. And I was like, Scott Hartnell was, he was a good player. And Reese Hoskins was a good player, but there's elite players, and those are the kind of guys I think that you give that kind of stuff to at bat.
Look, they gave him a nice ovation the first at bat each game because they respected what he did here. I have no problem with it. Now it's over. Okay, next time they're in town, you don't have to stand up for him. So it's history. It's over, Bill.
Yeah, well,
and our show's almost over. One thing real quick.
The fanboy part's not over.
Oh, stop.
You're locked in on that.
I have my national days calendar. Well, it turns out Thursday, tomorrow, is National Drive-In Day. There aren't a whole lot of drive-ins still around, but there are a few around Pennsylvania. And when was the last drive-in movie you went to, Bill?
Oh my gosh, I don't have any idea.
I know exactly when mine was, believe it or not. It was the summer of 1997. My wife and I took our very young daughter, she was still an infant, and we went to see The Lost World, Jurassic Park 2, at a drive-in, I think the Willow Grove, Pennsylvania area. And that was the last one that I was at 26 years ago. There's still one up in the Allentown area, Shankweiler's. There's one in the Lehighton area, Mahoning Drive-In, which I do want to get to because they have a lot of horror movies there over the spring and summer. So got to get back to the drive-in, Bill.
Who puts that goofy list together?
There's a National Days calendar. I have it right out here hanging on the wall. Every day has like 5 different national whatever days. So
you couldn't come up with like pizza day or something like that.
There's that. There's a lot of beer days. You know that. You'll see those.
Yeah.
Wrap it up, Bill.
All right, that's it. We got it. You done?
Gotta go. I'm done.
All right. Let's thank tonight's special guest, Jody McDonald, our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgates, PPCC 118 Raz Room. For Jim Chet Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll join Philly Pressbox Radio next Wednesday, June the 12th at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook and on our Philly Pressbox Radio YouTube channel, and listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadios, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans. Let's go Phillies.
High hopes,